meet you in mountain pose. If you think block or any other props might be useful, just have things nearby. We'll work on some warrior ones, a little bit of arm movement there, and then we'll probably take it down to some table poses. Maybe we could do some planks and some lowering from plank, so working on those arms a bit. And then we'll see what else comes up. So as you find your mountain pose, your arms relax down by your side. And if you're feeling stable, grounded, you might close your eyes. And maybe if you've practiced for a while, right away as you close your eyes, you might find yourself taking a deeper inhale. Maybe already breathing more through your nose. And then controlling a bit your exhales, making them a bit longer. So that might mean breathing out a bit slower. Maybe pursed lips, noticing a bit more air coming out through your nose. And begin to feel the movement of your breath in your torso, in your chest, your rib cage. Maybe some the belly, and bring that awareness of your diaphragm. We talked about that a few classes ago. You might think about your thorax as a box, and the bottom part of that box is around the lower ribs. And that's your diaphragm, and it moves down as you breathe in. And then it moves up as you breathe out. And see if you can find that movement. And then remind yourself that your breath is three-dimensional, so make sure that your ribs are moving to the sides and back in. Your inhales expand those side ribs towards your arms, and then your exhales draw your ribs away from your arms and back towards the spine. And then opening your eyes, just finding a soft gaze in front of you. Maybe widen your stance a little bit. So rather than feet together or hip width, maybe take them like a kind of shoulder width or so. And we'll begin to swing from side to side a bit. So think about your right arm swinging behind you, left arm forward, and turn your torso towards the right. And then switch and turn it towards the left. And find a little bit of a kind of swing from side to side. You can do it slower or faster. And let your arms do that movement too. And there might be a little movement through your hips, but kind of minimal. Think about more movement through your torso. And then we'll pause with the right arm behind us and the left hand towards that right hip, right hand towards the left hip. So you kind of got like, maybe you even can grab your hips or the sides of your hips. And then you might even give your hips a little counter. So as your torso is moving towards the right, think about your hips moving back through center or even a little to the left. Notice how that feels. And just be gentle, don't overdo. And then we'll swing to the other side. So we'll go to the left Right hand crosses over, left hand swings behind you, and you might find again those hips. And then you might, as you turn your rib cage towards the left, you might encourage that those hips to turn or forward or to the right a bit more. Notice that assisted twist here. And don't overdo once again. Be gentle. And then bring yourself back through center. Let your arms hang. Wiggle your fingers, and then on your inhale, sweep your arms forward and up any amount. And as you exhale, take your arms wide and down by your side. And then do that again. Arms forward, palms are facing one another. And exhale, arms wide and down. And again, forward, inhale. And exhale and down. This time on your inhale, take them forward, up, and then see if you can catch your left wrist with your right hand and pull it over towards the right side. And find some space in the left side, the waist and the left ribs. And then bring yourself back through center and switch left hand around right wrist. We're pulling it up, and then any amount, taking it over towards the left side. And we're looking for space in the right side, from the right hip, right waist, right ribs. And then back through center on the inhale. And as you exhale, sweep your arms wide and bring them behind you. Interlace them at your lower back. Extend your arms, knuckles towards the floor, and then find that squeeze of your shoulder blades. Imagine a pencil or a ball between your shoulder blades, and you're trying to keep it there. And that's going to give you quite a bit of space in the fronts of your shoulders and your chest. And then notice if your lower ribs are flaring forward. And then see if you can draw them down. Another breath. And then release that. Sweep your arms wide and up. Inhale. And on your exhale, bend your knees and fold over your legs. Bring your hands to your shins. Maybe your legs extend some. Halfway lift, breathing in. And folding on the breath out. 2 more. Inhale, half lift. Exhale and fold. And 1 more. Halfway lift. And folding forward, exhale. Stay in your forward fold. You can hold on to opposite elbows and then bend into your right knee. Straighten some your left. It doesn't have to be all the way. Just feel a bit of a stretch through the back of the leg. And then switch. Left knee bends as you straighten through your right. And feeling the back of that right leg, hamstring, maybe calf. And then switch once again. Right knee bends, left knee straighten. And then last one, switch. With your next inhale, bend into both knees. We're coming into chair pose. Sweep your arms forward and up. And on your exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Pause in your chair. Give your toes a little wiggle. And notice that this chair position can have lots of different intensities, right? You could find the more intense that sometimes is not necessarily the lowest. It might be like a middle place, less intense, maybe a little higher. So play around with that a few times. Keep pressing down through your feet. So feel those feet really well connected to the floor. And then find a place that doesn't feel like super, super intense and stay for a full breath in. And a breath out. And then as you inhale, come all the way up. You can extend your arms overhead and exhale, right arm by your side and side bend. Inhale back through center and left arm down and to your other side. Inhale back through center. Now interlace your fingers overhead. Turn the palms towards the ceiling and push away. Full inhale. And on your exhale, arms go wide. And once again, bring them behind you, but switch the interlace of your fingers. Send the knuckles towards the floor. Find that opening through your chest, squeezing your shoulder blades. Again, that imaginary tennis ball or pencil between them. You try to keep it there. Take an inhale. On your exhale, see if you can draw your lower ribs gently down and in. And then release that. Sweep your arms wide and up. Inhale. Bend in your knees as we fold. Exhale. Halfway lift, breath in. And exhale, fold. Another one. Inhale, half lift. And fold. And then inhale, half lift. And this time, hold it here. Pause. So depending on the length of your arms and your legs, your fingers might be resting on the floor, or you might have them resting on your shin. You might even bring blocks and have your hands on blocks. What we're going to try and get here is a neutral spine. So sometimes if your hands are really reaching down towards the floor too low, you're going to round your upper back. So you want to come a little higher to see if you can get your shoulder blades kind of flat. So play around with that for a few breaths. Think about long through the back of your neck. Another breath in. And another breath out. Nice job. And then with your next inhale, bend your knees deep and rise into your chair pose, sweeping your arms up. And on your exhale, bring hands to your heart. Pause again in your chair and find that exploration, up, down. And again, we don't always have to go for the most intense. You could go for a little less, and that takes skill too. And then find a place where you can stay for a nice, easy breath in. And breath out. And then we'll push the floor away, straightening legs, reaching those arms up, side bend to the right, exhale. Come back through center, inhale, and over to your left. On your inhale, back through center. On your exhale, left foot is going to step back. We're coming into a warrior one. Bending into your right knee, planting the whole of your left foot. You're still facing the top of your mat. So your hips, the left hip has gone into extension, right? So the front of the hip is long, but your hips are still facing forward. Left hip might have gone back a bit, but don't take it all the way back. Okay? And your shoulders are still over your hips. And then as you inhale, reach your arms tall. On your exhale, bend your elbows. Look for 90-degree angles, more or less. Again, we're going to squeeze those shoulder blades open through your chest, draw your elbows back. And on your exhale, elbow to elbow in front of you, but prioritize elbows rather than hands. Inhale again, open up. Exhale, elbow to elbow. Inhale, open. Exhale, elbow to elbow. One more. Inhale, we open. And exhale, forward. On the inhale, extend your arms up. Grab a hold of your left wrist and pull that left wrist over towards the right side. Lots of space in the left side body. Press down through that left foot. Bend a little bit more into your right knee. See how that feels. And then as you inhale, return your torso through center. Let go of the wrists. We're making our way to the top of the mat. So see if you can come onto the ball of the back foot. Lean over your front leg. Reach through your hands. And then step that back foot forward. Mountain pose, arms by your side. Nice work. On your inhale, arms reach wide and up. And as you exhale, bend the knees and fold over your legs. Halfway lift, breathing in. And exhale, fold. Inhale, rising into chair. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, straighten legs and arms. Exhale, left arm down, side bend. Inhale, back through center. And exhale, other side. Inhale, back through center. Let's take that warrior one. This time, right foot stepping back. And remember that once you've landed, you can make any adjustments that you'd like here. See if you can push down through the pinky side edge of that back foot. Feel that grounding. And then bending into your front knee. Once you've got your stance, sweep your arms up, breathing in. On your exhale, bend your elbows. This time, what we'll do is some rotation. So we're going to try and keep the upper part of the arm in the same position. And we're going to lower the forearms. So palms face back. And then we're going to lift. So imagine that there was a wall. Do this a few times at your own pace. You had your back body on a wall and your upper arms, shoulder blades on the wall, and you're going to try and keep them there as you find this movement. A few more at your own pace. And then with your next inhale, extend your arms all the way up. Catch a hold of your right wrist with your left hand and then give it to pull over to the left. And look for that big stretch right side body all the way from that right foot. So really push it down. And then use your next inhale to bring the torso back through center. Release the wrists, and we're going to step forward once again. So again, do it slow. See if you can, again, come onto the ball of the back foot. Lean over your front leg. Lighten up on that back foot. All the weight in the front leg as you then shift. Right foot forward and mountain pose, arms by your side. Give your shoulders a little roll, breathing in and breathing out. As you inhale, arms go wide and up. On your exhale, left arm down, side bend. Inhale back through center. And exhale to the right. Inhale, center. Forward fold, exhale. Halfway lift, inhale. And this time plant your hands and step it back into a downward facing dog on your exhale. Once you get there, move a little bit. Bend and straighten legs, lift lower feet, maybe even shift your hips from side to side if that feels good. And take another breath. With your next inhale, come out into a plank pose. Keep your shoulders more or less over your wrists. And then as you exhale, just lower your knees. So now your knees are behind your hips. You could keep your feet down, or you could lift your feet and cross your ankles. We're going to try a little bit of a push-up here. So sometimes to do this, it's good to have the shoulders a little forward of the wrists. Okay, so if you need to do that, try it out. Kind of you're leaning forward. And then find that external rotation through your arms. The insides of your elbows are facing forward. Keep your shoulder blades wide, and then bend your elbows just a bit and straighten. So you don't have to bend them a lot. Just find that little bend, and notice your elbows as they bend, they kind of go back, right? They're pointing back. Right? So that external rotation. And try it again. Don't go to the super bend of the elbows, just a little bit to get that sense. A little push up. Okay. All right, when you've had enough, let go of those feet. Plant again the balls of the feet if you had them lifted, and shift back into a downward facing dog. Take some movement here once again. Bend and straighten knees. Shift your hips from side to side. See if you can make a bit more distance between your fingers and your sit bones. So really push away with your hands. One more breath. With the next inhale, let's walk those hands towards the feet, coming towards the back of the mat. And we'll fold over the legs here. Hold on to opposite elbows and then bend into your left knees, straighten some the right. And then bend into your right knee and straighten some the left. Bend into both knees and rise up into chair pose, inhale. And on your exhale, once again, hands to heart and just pause for a moment. Find that chair position that is somewhat sustainable. You can feel it, but it's not overwhelming you. Take a breath in and out. And then as you inhale, straighten legs, reaching those arms tall, and right arm down, side bend, exhale. Come back through center, breath in, and take it over to the left. Back through center, inhale, over the legs, fold, exhale. On your inhale, walk your hands to the top of the mat. We're coming back into that plank pose, hands more or less under shoulders. Maybe here, shift forward a little bit so you're on your tiptoes, and then lower your knees. Now again, find that external rotation. So remember, think about the insides of your elbows pointing towards the top of the mat, more or less. And then do anything that works with your feet, maybe lifting them or keeping them down. We're once again going to find the bend in the elbows. Think about reaching forward rather than down as you bend and straighten, right? So that tension, crown of the head, is trying to reach forward, or even you could think about your nose trying to go beyond the top of the mat as you bend and straighten those elbows. And just try a few. See where you're at today. And then when you've had enough, plant the balls of the feet, shift your hips back and up, and downward facing dog. Full breath in and full breath out. Another one here. And then this time on the inhale, let's walk towards the top of the mat, finding a forward fold here. Bend into your knees and come back into your chair pose, arms forward and up. And on your exhale, bring hands to your heart. Right, so now in your chair pose, again, find a position that, is sustainable. So notice the position of your knees and try to bring them in the same, more or less aligned with your feet. Okay, so notice if your knees tend to cave in or this super wide and you're more on the pinky side of your feet, and try to make it just a little bit more aligned. Feet and knees pointing in the same direction. Notice that. Take another breath. And then with your next inhale, straighten legs, reaching those arms tall. Exhale, right arm down, side bend. Come back through center and left arm down. And back through center. We're coming back into warrior one, left foot stepping back. Take your time to get there. Once again, see if you can prioritize pressing that pinky toe side of that back foot down. Notice how that feels. And then on your inhale, open your arms out into a T. And as you exhale, your right arm under your left. As you find some eagle arms, you could choose hands to your shoulders, forearms lifting, maybe palms coming towards one another. Try to align your elbows with your shoulders, and if your forearms are lifted, see if you can send them away from your face. If you have your shoulders, think about sending your elbows away from you. Another breath in and breath out. Now stay strong through the legs. We're going to move the torso, cows and cats with these eagle arms. So steady. As you inhale, lift the chest. The elbows will lift too. On your exhale, round the spine, the elbows will lower. And two more. Inhale as we open. Think about the movement coming from your spine rather than the movement coming from your shoulders. Hopefully that makes sense. So the movement of your elbows up and down is just because the spine is moving. It's flexing when you round. It's extending when you lift. Last one. On the inhale, we're coming back up. Unwind those arms, reaching them up. And as you exhale, sweep those hands behind you and interlace them at the lower back. Extend those arms down that back leg. Find again that opening through your chest. Take an inhale. As you exhale, option to hinge forward from that right hip, forward and down over that right thigh. See if you can still keep the spine neutral, so you're not rounding over, you're extending over, reaching crown of the head towards the top of the mat. Another breath. With the next inhale, rising up, releasing those arms. You could reach them overhead. Once again, we're making our way to the top of the mat. So slow and controlled, onto the ball of the back foot. So hinge forward, weight into that front leg, lighten up on the back leg, and then bring it forward. Find your mountain pose. Nice work. Pause, take a breath. And then use your next inhale to sweep your arms wide and up. On your exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale to a halfway lift. And exhale, plant your hands, step your feet back, downward facing dog. Any movement here, about 3 to 5 breaths. And then on your inhale, come out into your plank pose. Once again, see if you can shift your shoulders a little further forward than your wrists and then lower your knees. External rotation through your elbows. Take a breath in. On your exhale, this time we're lowering all the way down. So see if you can really slow it down with control. Belly and chest arriving more or less same time. Nice work. All right, a few cobras. Tops of the feet are pressing down, glutes are squeezing, and then on your inhale, lift your chest any amount, keep your gaze down. On your exhale, lower. Think about squeezing those elbows towards the rib cage. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And now with this one, see if you can move your shoulders away from your ears, really long through the neck. Inhale, lift. And exhale to lower. Nice work. Make your way into downward facing dog. Taking a breath in. And taking a breath out. As you're ready, making your way to the top of the mat. And we'll meet there, forward fold on the exhale. Inhale, rising into chair, sweeping arms forward, up. And once again, find a chair that is sustainable. Bring hands to your heart, and let's find some wrist counter poses here. So you choose rotation, interlacing fingers, that might be enough. Or you could do fingers facing down, palm facing you, and then other thumb to palm fingers so that you get that stretch for the top of your wrist. And if you're doing that one, take a couple breaths, and then when you're ready, switch. And then release what you have. Inhale, legs straighten, arms can reach tall. Exhale, right arm down, side bend. Come back through center, breath in, over to your left. Back through center, and this time warrior one, right foot is going to step back. Once again, take your time to get there. For warrior one, play with the distance between your feet, but it's probably not as long as when we do warrior two. So the feet are probably a little closer together, front to back. With your next breath in, open your arms out into a T. And on your exhale, left arm is going to come under the right. Again, hands to shoulders, maybe this version, maybe forearms lift, maybe palms touch. Find the one that works best for you, and then think about your forearms, your elbows moving away from your chest. Notice that stretch in your upper back. And then making sure that your stance is stable, and we'll begin moving that spine. So on the inhale, it's that cow spine. We're extending, lifting that chest. And on the exhale, we are flexing. It's that cat spine as we lower those elbows, rounding. A few more at your own pace with your breath. Notice that extension of the spine paired with the inhale, that space in the front body to fill those lungs. The exhale, the closing up of the front body, the diaphragm lifting up into the rib cage as we round the spine. And then we'll come back through center, unwind those arms, reaching them up. And then on your exhale, take your arms wide and bring them behind you. Find the opposite interlace to the one you did earlier. Send those knuckles down, that back leg. Find that squeeze of your shoulder blades, that space in your chest. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, find that hinge over your left leg. As you reach forward with the top of the head. And you press back with that back foot. Another breath. Use your next inhale to lift that torso, release those arms. You could reach them tall. Once again, we're coming to the top of the mat. Start by coming onto the back, onto the ball of the back foot. Hinge forward, lighten up on the back foot, and step it forward. Mountain pose, arms by your side. Once you get there, a little roll through those shoulders, a wiggle through the fingers. Maybe close your eyes for a minute here and just notice whatever you're noticing in the physical body. And then shift to noticing anything that's happening in the mind. And then opening your eyes if you had them closed. Arms go wide and up, inhale. And folding over the legs, exhale. Inhale, find a halfway lift. And exhale, plant your hands and step your feet back, downward facing dog. Push the floor away, maybe 3 to 5 breaths, movement or stillness. And then we'll use the next inhale to come again out into plank. Once again, so if you find it helpful, shift a bit forward onto your tiptoes and then lower your knees. That will get your shoulders just beyond your wrists. Find that external rotation and slow and controlled. We're lowering that chest, that belly, all the way down to the mat. Squeeze those elbows in. Once you're here, we're coming into cobra, but we're going to do a different cobra this time. So we're going to take that hands wide. So they're probably going to come off your mat. Come onto your fingertips, your palms are lifted, and then lift your elbows so that your elbows are pointing up towards the ceiling. When you're ready, inhale and lift the chest. Keep your gaze down, and again, shoulders away from ears, so you're not scrunching them up. And then exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, and now look over your right shoulder. And exhale, lower. Nice. Inhale, lift, and look over your left shoulder. And exhale, lower. One more through center. Inhale. And exhale, lower. Make a pillow for your forehead with your arms. Just relax for a moment. Or if you prefer to bring one side of the head to your forearms or to the floor, you could do that. And try to relax through your legs. Notice the floor, the mat, as reference for your breathing. So notice that as you inhale, you expand towards the mat. And as you exhale, see if you can feel some drawing away from the mat. And then we're going to come back into that same position for cobras, but we're going to do something a little different. So again, your hands are going to go wide, probably off the mat. Your elbows are pointing up towards the ceiling. So your chest is somewhat a little lifted. So think about that first lifted cobra. Take an inhale. And then on your exhale, drop the front of your right shoulder towards the floor as you turn your gaze towards the left. Yeah. And then come back up through center. And then drop left shoulder forward and down as you turn your gaze to the right. Okay. Try that a few times. See where you're at with this. So find that shoulder movement. Dropping the shoulder down. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a lot. It should give you a stretch through the front of the shoulder that drops. And then try it on the other side. Once you've got the movement, try a couple more, pairing it with your breath. So the breath, the inhale brings you through center. The exhale drops the front of the shoulder, turns you to one side. And then switch. Nice, yeah. And then the next time you're coming through center, you're more or less even on both. Let it go. Once again, a pillow for your forehead. Anything that feels good right now to relax. Breathing in and out. And now bring your hands under your shoulders. Find your way into child's pose. Sit bones towards your heels. You could do knees wide or knees together. So spine more neutral or spine more rounded. Your arms could be out in front of you. Or you could hold on to opposite elbows. Or you could choose to bring the arms by your side with your palms facing up. Fingers reaching towards your feet. Take a meaningful breath in. And follow it with a meaningful breath out. And then from your child's pose, use your next inhale to lift your spine. And then we'll find a seat. Move your feet to one side and then in front of you. So find a comfortable seat for you right now. We're going to do a little bit more with those arms. So if it's a cross-legged seat, then cool. If you prefer to sit on something, a block, a chair, something else. If it's some kind of different arrangement with your legs, go there. Just make sure that your torso is lifted, your spine long, your crown of the head reaches tall, your shoulders supported by your hips. Okay. And then as you inhale, let's reach those arms wide and up. On the exhale, bend your left elbow, drop the hand, and then see if your left fingers can peek kind of in front of your right shoulder. And then lower your right hand and then catch those left fingers with your right fingers. So your right elbow is in front of you, dropping towards the floor. Your left elbow is pointing up towards the ceiling. So right hand is in front of you. And if that's not working by any means, you could maybe grab the wrist up here or the elbow. Now, look for a long lifted spine. So sometimes when we start looking for hands and elbows and all, we begin to round. We're going to do, move with the spine. See if you can find again that neutral spine, reaching tall through the top of the head. And then push the head into that lifted arm. And if you're using your right arm, think about your right elbow heavy pulling down. And bring your awareness to your left shoulder blade. And can it spread a bit? As if you were trying to spread it a bit to the left and down. One more breath. And then release, maybe reaching both arms tall. And let's try and find some version of this on the other side. So right elbow bends. You could do the elbow or the wrist with your left hand, or left arm comes in front of you as if you were kind of giving your palm forward, and then bend the elbow and see if it can find those right fingers. So the closer you bring your right arm to your head, the more chances of that happening. So start there. And again, maybe it's a question of grabbing elbow or forearm instead. And then once again, think about that lifted spine. Push the head into the lifted arm. Left elbow heavy. And now bring your attention to your right shoulder blade and see if you can spread that area. Long through the back of the neck. Imagine a wall behind you. Try to get the back of your head onto the wall. One more inhale. And exhale. Nice job. On your inhale, release that. You could reach your arms tall if that feels good. Give your fingers a little wiggle. Maybe your wrists a rotation. And then let's find a twist towards the right. Slide your right hand behind you. Your left hand crosses over. And then bring yourself back through center, maybe with arms lifting or just sliding your arms. And we'll take it over towards the left side. Pause for a breath. And then inhale back through center. And again to the right. And inhale through center. And last one to the left. As you inhale, bring yourself back through center. Your arms could lift. And on your exhale, release those arms down by your side. Plant your feet, knees bent, and let's come onto our back body. As always, you choose. Let's see if you can make it intentional with your breath. If you are working on that core, that support, slow things down. And feel that back body arriving section by section onto your mat. Once you are there, draw the knees into your chest, one hand onto each knee, and just find some gentle circling. And then switch direction. And then knees come back through center. Keep your right knee drawing into your chest and plant your left foot. Find some movement through your right ankle and toes. And then pause that, bring your hands behind that right thigh and extend and bend that right knee a few times. Trying to keep your thigh in the same position. So the movement is mainly the lower part of your leg. And then bend that knee and cross the thigh over, the right thigh over the left thigh. Kind of your eagle legs here. And you could stay or you could draw those knees in towards your chest. You could then, if you've got your feet lifted off the floor, knees drawing in, you could try and move your feet away from one another. So rather than bringing your feet together, think about your feet moving to the sides. There'll be some external rotation through your hip, right in the hip joint. And then your hands might be able to come to your shins or to your ankles. And then you could emphasize this a bit more, pull those feet a little bit more out to the sides. And you'll get bigger stretch through the glute muscles. But again, just an option, see what you need here. Whatever you are, breathe. And then release what you have, unwind your legs. Your right foot is going to plant with a knee bent, and then the left knee comes into the chest. Find some rotation through your ankle, little movement through your toes. And then pause that, bring your hands behind that left thigh, keep the thigh in the same position, meaning there's no movement in your hip, and then just bend and straighten your left knee. A few times here. And then we'll bring that left thigh over the right thigh, crossing the legs. And then you choose again, maybe that right foot stays down, planted. Maybe you draw those knees in. You could hold on to the backs of your legs with your hands, if that's available. And then you can play with just moving your feet away from one another, keeping the cross of the legs. So I like to flex my feet here at the ankle. And then it's kind of like you're finding that external rotation that we find when we do figure fours, right? But here it's the thighs that are crossed. But you might, if you bring your brain into your hip joint, you might find that as you move your feet away in this crossed position, your femur bones rotate outward to some amount. And you could do that just with the strength in your legs, or you could add on your hands. If your hands reach your shins or your ankles, you could then pull a little bit more, encouraging a bit more of that rotation, but don't overdo it. So the passive stretches or the passive movements, meaning that another part of the body comes in and places it in a certain way, we can overdo, right? We're kind of going a little beyond the mobility that that joint has on its own. So just do it gentle, see what's available. And then when you're ready, release what you have. Find any other movement that feels good. You could close your eyes and just see what arises. How would you move? What would you do to counter the movements that we just did and to prepare you for stillness and comfort, as much ease as possible? And give it about 5 to 8 more breaths. And then when you feel ready, make your way into Shavasana. Make yourself as comfortable as possible. You might signal this transition with an open mouth exhale. And let go of demands on your breath, demands on the physical body. Allow the ground, the earth underneath you to hold you right now. And give yourself that opportunity to settle in. Knowing that for the next few minutes there is nothing else to do other than to be. And allowing this to be whatever it is. Sometimes it's more challenging than others. And take it as a practice. We practice doing, moving, breathing, and we also practice stillness, finding ease, comfort. We practice acceptance of where we're at. And so this is that opportunity. I'll be quiet for a few minutes and I'll guide us out when it's time. As always, if you'd like to stay for a longer Shavasana, then please do. If you're ready to move on, bring your attention back to your breathing. That breath that is always there, a tool that you can always use to draw yourself back here and now. And then allow your breath to be a guide for some more movement into the body. You could start with your toes, your fingers, your ankles, your wrists, your neck. Maybe let go of the jaw, blink your eyes a few times. When you're ready, we'll find a seat. We'll meet there. Your hands could rest in your lap, or you could bring the hands and rest them at your chest. Your eyes could stay closed just for a moment longer. And take a deep breath in and a breath out. And we acknowledge here the practice. We acknowledge ourselves for our own practice today. We acknowledge, remember those who have practiced with us. We acknowledge those who have made it possible. And we end with a word that means that the light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. Namaste.